Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of RiesKitchen. Today we're making traditional golden syrup steam pudding. Now this is a little bit nostalgic for me because it reminds me of Sunday lunch at my grandma's. Now Nancy wasn't a great cook, but this is one dish that she could pop out perfect every time, and so can you. There's not many ingredients, so let's get straight into it, shall we? So first up we have some butter at room temperature, caster sugar, egg, vanilla extract, milk, self-raising flour, gluten-free of course, a little bit of extra butter for greasing our dish, and of course the hero, golden syrup. Now first up, let's talk about the bowl, shall we? Now there are two kinds of pudding bowls. There's the traditional one that has a clipped-on lid. My kid brother actually gave me this for my 21st. So it's just an aluminium bowl and a clipped-on lid, which helps keep the water out of your pudding. But most people don't have one of these. Most people would have this kind of bowl. And this is perfectly fabulous to use, but we have an extra step because the enemy of our pudding is moisture getting into the pudding as we're steaming it. So I'm just going to use one sheet of baking paper to show you what to do. But as described in my blog, you're actually going to need 2 pieces of baking paper and a piece of tin foil. So you'd have them larger than the top of your pot, as you can see. And what I need to do is have a pleat in the top. So just squinch a little bit up, doesn't have to be even or straight, just needs to be a pleat that then gives some expansion room for our pudding. You would put these over on the top once, of course, we've got the pudding in the bowl, and then you would tie with butcher's string or cooking cotton this down around the rim to stop the moisture getting onto your pudding. But I'm not going to use that one today. What I am going to use is this fabulous bowl my kid brother gave me for my 21st. And as you can see, a bit dinted, a bit of patina, but that's fabulous. So now we need to grease the bowl, whichever kind of bowl you're using. Don't use an oil spray. Piece of paper towel and some soft butter, and literally just rub it all over. Now if you're using the other bowl, you don't need to grease the paper that you put on top, but on this one you certainly do. So I'm just going to grease my lid just in case. Now this is the most important step in our traditional golden syrup steam pudding, and that's to put the golden syrup in the tin now. Having forgotten to do it once before, you don't want to do that. So let's go. Look at that. Now the first step is to cream our butter and sugar. Now of course Grandma would have used a bowl and a wooden spoon, but I'm into mechanical. So let's pop these in, and we want to beat them together until our butter goes lovely and pale. Now that was looking pretty close. Let's have a look. It's lovely and pale. If I get a little bit, I can still feel a little bit of the caster sugar, but not too much. So that's pretty good. I reckon we can keep going. That's probably 20 minutes with the wooden spoon. So next we add our egg and a teaspoon of vanilla extract, sorry. Oh, there's nothing so good as the smell of homemade vanilla. Okay, let's pop it in. Now scrape that down again. And we'll grab our flour and milk. We want to put about 1/3 of the flour in, mix it, about 1/3 of the milk, mix it, and then repeat. Now some milk. A bit more flour. Next lot of milk. And the last of our flour. And lucky last, the last of the milk. I'm just going to give it a good scrape down to make sure that I've got it all together, but that's looking like a lovely smooth batter. Oh, there's a little bit at the bottom that needs mixing through. So I'm just going to pop that for another minute or two just to mix that in. So now we pop our batter into our prepared dish with the golden syrup in the bottom. So now I'm just going to smooth the top a little bit. I can see the golden syrup coming up all the sides. It's going to colour my pudding there. And I want to make sure that the batter, and I know this one fits perfectly in this tin, is no more than 2/3 up, fills the tin, because otherwise there's nowhere for the pudding to rise. Okay, let's pop the lid on and clip it tight. Nice and tight. Now let's prep our cooking pot. Now, many of you know that I have a steam oven, and traditionally now that's exactly how I would cook this. Put this in the steam oven for an hour. But I know most of you don't have a steam oven. So this is how Nancy would have cooked it. So a nice big saucepan. And then with a saucer or a butter plate that you turn upside down in the bottom, we then pop our pudding onto that saucer. And the saucepan that you have has to be big enough to be able to fit your pudding and put a lid on. Okay, so it does look a little bit excessive. And now I'm going to fill this up with boiling water to 1/2 to 3/4 up the side of my pot. If you've used the other kind of pudding basin, make sure that your paper doesn't become a wick, so it's not sitting in the water. So you need to juggle that, or you might want to trim it, because you don't want to wick water then onto the top of your pudding. So again, that's another reason why these purpose-built tins are pretty good. And then have this simmering for an hour to an hour and 15. It's important that you keep an eye on how much water. You'll hear the noise change as the simmering water with the saucer, in my case a butter plate, is just jiggling inside the pot. If you stop hearing that, there's no water. You need to top this up to keep it boiling. It's only an hour. It's not a Christmas pudding that takes 3. So let's get that in. So we'll just top this up so that it's up to about at least halfway up the pot. So we're going to cover it. I'm going to bring that to a simmer for an hour, hour and 15. This is the hard bit, waiting another hour before we get to have some pudding. As a kid, this was torture. Well, the timer's up, so let's see. Turn that off. There'll be a bit of steam. Give it a second, because it's pretty hot. There goes my lid. There's my gorgeous pudding. That looks fabulous. I'll just test it. It's quite firm. That means we're cooked, just like you would a sponge cake. I'm just going to give it just a minute before I do the flip, just because otherwise you've got molten golden syrup, and that's a hazard. So we'll just give it a sec. Now, just because I'm always a bit paranoid, I've got my palette knife and I'm just making sure that it's loose, and it really is. It's easily coming away from the sides here as I'm checking. It's fabulous. Okay. This is the bit that always scares you. Onto your serving plate. 1, 2, 3, and over. Ta-da! Got to be happy with that. Now, for all the details of today's recipe, don't forget to check out my blog at the link below. But as always, the best bit's in the eating. So, with a cheeky little extra drizzle of golden syrup, and I've got some thickened cream here. You could have custard. Nancy would have done custard. It's moist, it's luscious with the golden syrup. Feels really decadent. This is perfect to share with your family or to keep it all for yourself. Until next time, everybody. Ciao.